One of the best things about planning world travel is the imagination it sparks in us. We are always challenging ourselves to think outside the box and to look for opportunities to experience a different type of journey. Today, we're going to tell you about 10 cruises that are very unique and not your typical cruise that most people take.
Some of these cruises we've heard about from fellow travelers, and some we've come across on our own research. But the purpose of today is to spark your imagination so you can include some of these in your world travels.
We might never get the chance to do them all, but they are certainly on our bucket list. So let's get started.
We're John and Beth, and we are the Retirement Travelers.
Before we get started, we wanted to add that we have created a companion guide that includes a link to each of these cruises we talk about today. We have a link below in our video description, so click it to see the details for each cruise.
And if you're wondering where we are as we travel the world, we keep our Instagram updated to our current location, so follow along with us there.
We also wanted to say we are not full-time cruisers, but we do add cruises to our lineup when they serve a purpose, like point-to-point cruises, transoceanic cruises, or ones that take us to a location that's very hard to reach otherwise. If we don't mention your favorite unique cruise, please leave it in the comments so we can learn more about it.
Yes, and we purposefully left off Galapagos and Antarctica, not because we don't think that they are worthy, but because most people already know about them. We've not done these yet, but they are on our list.
First up on our Wanderlust list is a cruise that we heard about a few years ago when we were in the South Pacific. We met a man that was about to board a cruise called the Aranui 5. Now, this is not your typical cruise ship, but a custom-built passenger and freighter ship with a dual purpose to provide a comfortable, small passage, cruise experience for about 230 passengers, all while dropping off ship supplies to islands on the route. It's an 11-day cruise through the Marquesas Islands. Now, this company offers other island routes, but they all combine freight delivery with a unique cruising experience. So be sure to check out their website in the article below.
This cruise fuels every bit of wanderlust that we have within us. We are determined to do this journey in the near future. This cruise leaves from Tahiti in French Polynesia. Because it carries a small number of passengers, it offers a different experience where you can interact with the working crew. The cruise part of the ship provides for low-key amenities like an outdoor pool, restaurants, guest lectures, and even a spa and tattoo studio. But while the experience isn't over the top, it is in an over-the-top location.
The next cruise is one that we hope to combine with a cross-country train trip, not in the U.S., but in Australia. This cruise is on Coral Expeditions and is called the Kimberly Cruise. It casts off for a 10-night all-inclusive cruise in Darwin or Broome and hugs the northwestern coast, making stops in Zodiacs and Explorers to examine the bays and to hike. It is truly an expedition cruise, and this is the coastline that many Australian travelers rave about.
We'd probably fly into Darwin and end our trip on the western coast of Australia. If we made our way south to Perth, we could combine this cruise with the Indian Pacific train route back to Sydney. This would make the ultimate tour of Australia, in our opinion. What more could you ask for than to visit some of the greatest cities, explore the country's rugged coastline, and take an epic train journey through the outback? We can't wait to do this one.
Our next cruise is a holiday river cruise from Viking, which begins in Amsterdam and ends in Basel, Switzerland. It is through this 8-day journey that you'll sail through storybook villages, partaking in Yuletide treats and Christmas traditions while visiting Christmas markets along the Rhine River. This is an 8-day voyage with festive cheer while celebrating the season of joy.
This journey travels through 4 countries, the Netherlands, Germany, France, and Switzerland, all the while offering guided tours, fine dining, and fellow travelers that are interesting and fun to meet. It's an experience that combines Viking's storied river cruises with one of the most sought-after European traditions, Christmas markets. This is high on our bucket list, and we hope to hop on one of these in the next couple of years.
Our next cruise is one that is in Bev's favorite place in the whole world, Raja Ampat, Indonesia. This area of Indonesia is the world's best scuba diving location. It's located in the Coral Triangle, which is an area that reaches from the Philippines down to Indonesia and all the way down to Papua New Guinea. It boasts more marine biodiversity than anywhere in the world. It is a very remote area that doesn't suffer from over-tourism because it is quite difficult to reach.
The cruise on our list is the Live Aboard Dewey Nusantara. It offers a 5-star luxury experience while transporting you around a few of the 17,000 islands that make up the country of Indonesia. The crew of 19 includes 4 dive masters. The ambiance is of a bygone era, luxury from top to bottom on this wooden schooner. They offer 8 deluxe staterooms and a master suite.
Their voyages usually last about 11 nights, and there are several to choose from. Besides offering a scuba dive experience, they offer paddleboard, snorkeling, and excursions to small tropical islands for private hikes and other interactions with the locals.
Now, if you prefer to read and relax while floating around one of the most beautiful places in the world, you can do that. But our suggestion is to get in the water as often as possible. What we saw under the surface was the most beautiful coral with the most fish we've ever encountered while snorkeling. So before going on this trip, we plan to be dive certified so that we can go a little deeper and experience even more of what Ampat has to offer. Our next cruise is a sailboat down the Nile River in Egypt in a traditional dahabeah with the cruise line Nor El Nil. The cruise that we're interested in is called the El Nil, which gently sails its way down the Nile in luxury, stopping to explore archaeological sites at a smooth and slow pace. This is a 6-night cruise, and the dahabeah transports 20 passengers at a time.
This is a boutique journey, now curated for the traveler that doesn't want to be crammed on a tour bus, bumping their way from site to site, or travel on a larger river cruise like the Viking. This dahabeah was built in 2006 and combines authentic architecture and modern luxury. The food is Egyptian cuisine, combining farm-raised vegetables and meats like fresh fish caught daily in the Nile. We can't imagine a better way to experience the pyramids and other historic stops. Our next cruise is a little closer to home for us, the Viking River Cruise through the 5 Great Lakes. The Great Lakes Collection Cruise combines all 5 of the lakes, or you can divide the experience and do either half. Now, after we took our Airstream trip across the country, we can certainly attest that the Great Lakes are beautiful and worth the trip to see.
This cruise begins and ends in Toronto, Canada, and Duluth, Minnesota. It passes by the thundering Niagara Falls and through the Sioux Locks. While on the journey, you will learn about the Granite Islands and the small inlets of the Georgian Bay. There is so much to learn about the lake's ecosystem and the beautiful forests that line the shores of Lake Michigan and Lake Superior. We love the idea of taking a European river cruise, but what a wonderful way to experience Viking without traveling far from home.
The next cruise on our bucket list is the 23-day journey across the Northwest Passage on the Seabourne Venture. They offer several routes, but all of them are very expensive, and we mean very.
Very. The ship carries 264 passengers and begins in Reykjavik, Iceland, makes stops in Greenland, and then crosses through the Arctic on its way across northern Canada on the famed Northwest Passage and ends in Anchorage, Alaska. This is an expedition cruise, so you can expect many stops where you board Zodiacs that get you up close and personal to wildlife. It is billed as an educational cruise with a speaking series.
While it is very expensive, we still have it on our bucket list because who knew you could travel across the top of Canada by boat?
The next cruise line is one that you might not have heard of, the American Cruise Line. They offer river and coastal cruises in U.S. waters. The cruise we are so excited to take is the one they call the American Revolution. It begins and ends in Washington, D.C. on an 11-day journey as it explores sites and cities that shaped the American Revolution. Along the voyage, you can explore quaint towns and historic cities, including Colonial Williamsburg, a living history museum with opportunities to learn farming and crafts from the colonial era.
Another stop takes you to the last battlefield of the Revolutionary War, Yorktown, and yet another takes you to Jamestown, the site of the first English settlement in the New World. Explore the lovely streets of Annapolis and visit the homes of the signers of the Declaration of Independence and George Washington's home, Mount Vernon, which rounds out the adventure.
This is the perfect cruise to combine with a visit to our nation's capital to see exhibits in the Smithsonian and other historic sites around D.C. This cruise includes Revolutionary War experts, authors, and reenactors who join the fun in bringing our fantastic story of freedom to life.
Our next cruise is a 13-day ocean cruise by Viking. It leaves Puerto Rico and makes its way to the Southern Caribbean, stopping at 2 islands before landing in South America at French Guiana. It then makes its way to the Amazon River, where it stops a few times before ending in Manaus, Brazil. The cruise includes 8 guided tours and 6 countries.
We'll use this as a point-to-point cruise, getting us into South America in style. We look forward to the rhythmic music of the local performers, their colorful costumes, and the fascinating facades of the historic buildings we pass along the way. But for us, cruising the Amazon River is the part of the cruise that is truly bucket list worthy. We hope to learn more about the ecology of the Amazon rainforest and the wildlife that call it home.
The last bucket list cruise is a cruise that we just got off last week. It is the Oceania West Coast of Africa cruise. We started in Cape Town and we ended in Lisbon, Portugal. Now, this has probably been one of the best cruises we've ever taken, and we'll be doing a complete video on it next. So be sure to hit subscribe so you will not miss this one at all. Now, it's everything you could ever hope for in a bucket list experience, but we felt it deserved a video of its own.
Now be sure you check out the link below for information on each of these cruises, and we'll see you next time.
Be sure to hit subscribe and follow along on our retirement journey around the world.